guys, today I am joined with Lauren, and you know what that means. It's Feminist Orchestra time! What's going to happen if we do a different collab since we've joined up for the Feminist Orchestra? Everyone's going to think it's a Feminist Orchestra video, and then it's not.
Well, maybe everything we do is Feminist Orchestra.
Yeah, even if we're not talking about a book for the book club, we are the Feminist Orchestra.
Perhaps we should get a jacket. I like the pink ladies.
Yeah. We need like some branded sort of...
Alright, cool. So.
Right, so we are here to talk about our final read of 2018. It's now 2019, so we have moved beyond this, but we have also read it. So
yes.
It's prime time.
And we've got enough time for everybody else to read it as well.
Yeah,
I think, you know,
exactly.
we do these books over 2 months, and there's a reason for that. So these videos always come out a little bit later to give everyone some time.
And equally, this video will just go up on my channel, but I imagine same time or in a few days time there will be a video on Lauren's channel updating you on the reading list for 2019.
Yes.
As you've probably been able to tell, or if you've seen on Goodreads or Twitter, we didn't set a book for January, February. We just thought we'd like chill out, get some time to like get things together, and then we'll tell you the entire reading list for the rest of the year so you can prepare in advance.
Yeah, well, we started in March last year as well, and we had 5 books, and we just thought that worked quite well. And also, like, December is busy, so we just thought we'd better let's have a break, Jan and Feb.
And you're doing so much in January that it's just like March is the time to start the book club. Yeah. So let's get on to what this video is about though, and that is our discussion of Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, one of the earliest published science fiction novels by a black woman, I believe, is kind of claim to fame.
Yeah, I know. I haven't said any of that in any of my when I've talked about it, because I feel like it's the kind of thing where you go, this was the first thing by a black woman, and you think, is that true? Like,
no, I imagine though it's one of the earliest published.
Exactly, that's the thing. It definitely has one of the, in terms of publicity.
Yeah,
this was the biggest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's sort of become known as that, even if I don't know. I'd have to do a lot of research to figure out if it was the first one. How can you really say that? It was first published in 1979. So, brief summary before we get into the book, in case people haven't read it.
Yeah, this is about a woman called Dana, who's living in the 70s, and she intermittently finds herself drawn back in time to, I'm going to say 19th century Maryland, perhaps it's 18th century, I'm not sure what it is.
No, it's the 19th century, yeah, still when slavery, 1815.
Oh, there you go. So, and she doesn't really understand why, but then she starts to work out that it's because there's this young boy called Rufus who is one of the plantation owners. He's the plantation owner's son, and he's actually one of her ancestors. So she's getting pulled back in time every so often, any time he feels in danger. So she has this really odd relationship with him and with everybody else on the plantation, because she's a black woman and she is seen as a slave, but she is from the 70s, so the way she carries herself and the way she looks upon this is very different. And she has a difficult relationship with Rufus because he is a young white man who goes on to own his own slaves during this time period, but at the same time she feels the need to protect him because he is of course one of her ancestors, and also the kind of as you go on you realise you wonder how he became one of her ancestors, and that's a really difficult topic that's broached as well. There's a lot in this book, and do you know what I think struck me most about this book is I think, right, I'm about to read myself some time travel science fiction. Honestly felt far more like a historical fiction novel than it did like a science fiction novel. Yeah, I'd almost say this doesn't really feel like science fiction at all. I think the only part of it which did feel a little bit sci-fi-y is when Dana's travelling back in time and her husband is sort of witnessing her do it, and it does. I mean, I know you probably would just get used to it, but very, very quickly they just accept, oh, okay, so you're time travelling, cool, and then they just, it's like no one goes, what the hell is going on? Everyone just goes with the flow. I love that because it was totally like they just accepted it from almost the get-go that Dana started time travelling, and how is this happening? And I'm sorry, but it never gets explained in the book, like the actual science. Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me, but I think if you're looking for science fiction where there's lots of scientific explanations and you're figuring out why this is happening, that is not the point of the book. It feels almost more like fantasy than science fiction, because it's not really like you say, there isn't anything scientific. There's no explanation. It's just you have to accept she's travelling back in time. It's more of a setup for the author to do what she wanted to do, which was to sort of contrast her contemporary time's values with values during like slavery times America. Yeah, I love the book. Because that's the other thing as well, because it's historical fiction mostly and dealing with quite a harrowing subject, I also just couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if enjoyed is the right word,
No.
because there is a lot of brutal subject matter.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of violence in there. There's a lot of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And I mean, even aside from the actual scenes where that happens, it's just like the overarching threat, like all the time. It's quite a scary book to read.
Yeah, it doesn't shy away from the real dark side of racism, slavery, living in that time period, being a woman. There's no sort of trying to wash over that and make it seem a little bit less intense than it is.
And it's the kind of thing as well which really looks into the lives of the slaves and how they felt about it as well.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of sort of older fiction that you get just seems to have some very happy slaves who are just fine with it, or you know, it's the concept that people didn't see themselves that they needed to be free. And it's like,
they just accepted their place.
But of course people realised that it was wrong that they were slaves, and that's what.
Otherwise, they never would have stopped being slaves.
Obviously, nobody wanted to do that, and it's really interesting seeing Dana's perspective on it, because she's like, well, none of us should be slaves. Yeah. Like, you should respect me. Like, you don't call me that word or anything like that. But
they learn from each other, though, in a way that, like, there's also that idea that we look back at that time and just think we would quite easily behave completely differently from. So Dana looks back and think, I wouldn't have behaved the way the other slaves did and take this treatment from my white owners. But when she goes back there, she realises that that's actually the safest way to go on living. Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing her perspective on it, and also their perspective of her as well, because a lot of them think she's very above her station and all this, but they still don't think it's right. Like, they still do. They are all going around their own way, trying to survive, and either to escape or to just to live the safest life possible. And I think that's what's really interesting.
Despite how harrowing and like dark it is, it was engaging in a like non-depressing way as well.
I think it's because, well, maybe my theory is because you sort of know that Dana doesn't belong there. Yeah. And you do know, or you hope, that she's going to eventually get out and not have to go back. And because you're following Dana, and it sounds awful because there's lots of different characters in the book. Yeah. But for her, you're like, oh, but you shouldn't be here. Yeah. And that's, you know, there's always that little bit of hope there that she's going to get out.
Yeah. You know, she's not going to remain
there anymore.
Or at least you hope she's not going to remain 1800s and become a slave.
So perhaps that kind of softens it a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of all
I think in general that's sort of like, it both offers up that contrast, but I think it also, like, it was a way for Octavia E. Butler to help her readers relate to the whole subject in a way as well, because you're in a similar position to Dana in that you have all your ideals and morals and you feel like you know the way things should be, but could you actually handle it if you were chucked back into that time? But although read it now is interesting as well because it's also set in the 70s. It's not that contemporary.
No, it is really interesting seeing like how, but also I was going to say how far we've moved on, but we haven't. No, I don't think we have. In fact, it does feel, a lot of what Dana's saying feels very current and very modern. It doesn't feel like. Yeah. But again, we do have that distance from it now, which is quite interesting.
And I think Dana highlights some of the things in her own time that show how they hadn't progressed as far as you would have hoped since the 1800s. With the kind of things that are going on in the news around the world, her relationship with like her white husband's family who rejected her because she was black and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. So you're sort of looking at a whole like range of issues, really, aren't you? Yeah. Something I really enjoyed was Dana's relationship with Rufus. Yeah. Because, well, not enjoyed.
Yeah, no,
but found interesting because he's known her from when he was a child. So as he grows up, every time she goes back, more time passes. Yes. So eventually he's an adult, but he sort of looks upon her quite, you know, he kind of respects her way more than anybody else, and because she tells him no as well. Yeah. And he does have a fondness for her, but at the same time he does want to control her. And I found like the whole examination of his psyche really interesting. Oh yeah. Because you're focused on Dana and everybody else, but it's the idea that he can look at one person and think, oh, you're a human being, and then look at all of his slaves and think, but they are my property. Yeah. And it's how, I guess, what is it, like that dissonance that you've got between things? You're not thinking about your morals and your values, like they don't align. Yeah. Because you're breaking. This doesn't make sense.
No, but I know what you mean. It's just that whole concept. That
it's fascinating because it's something like we all need to inspect within ourselves, because you couldn't do that with anybody. Like, everyone has prejudice, and it's just so interesting to see how you can, you know, someone that you know or someone that's related to you, you know, like for example, there's Rufus and other landowners obviously having children with black slaves that they're raping, and the way they look upon those children is very different.
Yeah.
But not quite. It's not the same as if they were a white child, but they're still different from like a normal slave. Yeah. It's just all this. It's so interesting to see where they draw the line on someone else's humanity and how you perceive people. It shows how easily you can just, if you're brought up in that world, how easily you can accept. Oh, okay. Well, they're subhuman. And I accept that. It's, you know.
Yeah, I'm teaching my students about slavery in ancient Greece at the moment as well, and it's interesting because you can free your slaves, and it's like, so at what point? So they're like not a human that you can treat like property until you free them, and then they suddenly are. It's like they've changed, but they haven't.
It's like now that's what's so weird.
It was both like an enjoyable, engaging read and a book I took so much from, and there's so much you could talk about. It's fiction, but I think it's incredibly educational, and it's just such a creative concept. I've never read anything quite like that conceptually.
And it just
time traveling.
It brings up so many issues. Yeah. The way she talks about all these different things is so engaging. Because it's all part of the plot, and it's not. It doesn't feel like you're being preached to, or you're like. But it feels like you want to learn more. Yeah. Like I just really.
And it explores like that sort of cross section between racism and sexism.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was relevant to the feminist orchestra.
Yeah,
it's all the cheerful topics, but it's really good.
Yeah, it was one of my favourite books of last year.
Me too.
It was on my
list. Top.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, we'd recommend it to everyone. This is a book that I had heard so much hype about that naturally I worried a little bit if it was going to live up to it. But this is a book that's worth like every ounce of hype it's ever received.
I don't think you can hype it up enough.
No,
actually, you know, I'd heard so many amazing things about this book, and it just.
We need to read more Octavia Butler.
Also, I feel like everybody enjoyed it in the Goodreads group as well. All the comments that I saw were very like, everyone found it really engaging.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And there was different things that interested different people. There was just so many elements to it.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if you read it. Whether you put a comment in the Goodreads group or not. Like we'd love to hear what you thought.
Absolutely.
And talk about it a bit more.
Let's talk more about this book. And recommend us more.
Yeah.
Octavia Butler. Please. This edition also has a foreword by Ayobami Adebayo, who we both also love. And actually, like we mentioned at the beginning, it's one of those books that although it's kind of marketed as science fiction, it feels far more historical. Yeah. So if you're somebody that doesn't like science fiction fantasy, I think you would very much enjoy this still.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the only thing you need to get your head over is like the time travel. If you can accept time travel
in the same way that she does,
just like Dana, just go, oh well, I guess this is my life, and just accept it. And then it's more like a historical fiction sort of thriller in a way. Actually.
And it's not too like dense a historical fiction that if you don't have that much context for the time, you won't be able to understand it.
Oh yeah,
it's the best of both worlds.
So yeah, leave your comments down below. We'd like to keep talking about it. There's obviously so much that we can say about it, but we will keep it a little bit more truncated for this episode, but we can talk more in the comments.
Yeah, and make sure to go and check out Lauren's channel for our updated reading list. Woo woo! See what we're reading next year. I'm so excited to announce that. We're going to do that now. So see you next time.
Bye. Bye.